What up, Quick Talk listeners? Hope you guys had a great week. Hope you are crushing life. And I hope you feel good about what 2018 is going to bring you. Today, I'm going to play part 2 of a private interview that I did a couple years ago in secret with Keith Kalfas for a course that he was selling. But he's released the interview. It's really good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can?
So we're talking about your struggle, your story, everything you went through, growing a window cleaning business from nothing to 100 grand a month. And then we got into talking about employees and you building, and talking about how to build a culture and a system where you lead from the front and actually make your employees buy in by you buying in 100%. Because the biggest cancer in the business, the small business owner doesn't realize can actually be you, the business owner.
Yeah.
And that's where we were, and then we're moving forward from there. So
yeah, I mean, it's really easy to get jaded by, all these Craigslist interviews you do and all these people that just, it's like, God, is there any good employees out there? It's super easy to get secretly negative to our own business because it's frustrating.
Yep.
But you got to have your public-facing persona, right? Which is, you got to craft that. And it's not inauthentic. It just has to be controlled more. And then you can have struggles, and that's what colleagues are for. That's, in my boot camp, we have a private mastermind group for all the people in it. We need each other. You need to have equals that you can just say, God, I'm failing at this, and it's broken, and I don't know what to do. But it's inappropriate for you to live those types of struggles out in front of your staff. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You're the leader. You're casting vision. You're telling them, in my audiobook on a different thing I did a long time ago, I have this little part where I say, the difference between a manager and a leader is a manager is the guy on the ground, and he's got a machete, and they're in a jungle, right? And they got to clear some forest, and they got to go. And he says, you and you're team A, you guys are team B, you get the rope, you guys get the thing. Hey, get off your butt. What are you doing? Sharpen the machetes. You do this. Hey, you get whatever, right? That's the guy, and it's an important role, right? There's things need to be, moving along. But the leader isn't that guy. The leader's a guy that, he throws his equipment on the ground, and he climbs the tallest tree right in the middle of the jungle, right? And the sun's shining, and it's super dangerous up there, and the tree's bending, and he's looking like this, and he screams down to the ground. He says, that's where we're going, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going, right? And the manager receives the vision, right? And we're going there, and that's what we got to do. It's like, what are we doing here, right? And not just for our own personal goals. I wanted to sell a company. That doesn't fire up my crew leaders. Hey guys, I really need you to come through for me here so I can move to Costa Rica and sell my company, right? Like, that's not their passion. So what I call this in my course is you have to give your staff a seat at the table. You have to let them participate and shape the vision and what it means to them, right? So things like this. I used to say, the second guy I ever hired, been with me the whole time. He runs $1 million business now. And I used to sit at my Little Tykes plastic table in my garage and hand write out his jobs for the day, right? We had no systems. He'd come in, I'm like, go to this house and do this, and then go to this, totally disorganized, pure chaos. But the whole time I said, Robert, we're going to build a monster. We're going to build a freaking monster. And we're going to have 8 trucks. We're going to have 10 trucks. And we're going to do this. And we're going to have $30,000 a week. So and someday you're going to have a company car, and you're going to get paid a salary, and you're going to wear a clean shirt. You're not going to smell like bleach all day from washing houses, right? And he didn't believe it really at the same level I did. I could see it. I could smell it. I could taste it. I lived in that vision, right? My job's to get it out of my head and into him, right? But not just get it into him, to share the vision in a way that gives him a seat at the table. Like, hey, what would it do for you, Robert, if instead of making, $10 an hour, you made $22 an hour, had a company paid cell phone, a company truck, what would that be like for your family? What if you could get out of that credit card debt? Because I know about it because I'm invested in his life. What if you could, whatever, fill in the blank? What if you could get enough savings over the next 2 seasons, Tim, to where you could go back to school and you could do whatever, right? I always told my guys, I'm not trying to hold you hostage. I don't own you. I don't demand your lifetime loyalty. But when you're here, we got to row in the same direction. We're going in the same direction. And we have one unified vision. How can we make what we're trying to do here fit into your story and your life? What's your deal? People love it when you do that. Just like the guy that you worked for. I mean, he invested in you, right? Did he get paid a commission for every time he got somebody to be emotional? Did he get paid extra money because he connected? No, he just was leading you. And it inspires you. And when you're out mowing and you're pushing through and you're having a hard day, what's going to happen when you have Bob and Joe? And Bob has a manager who he knows is going to write him up again if he doesn't have the truck back at 5:01 and because his hours are overtime, he can't go over 4, whatever. And his phone's already blowing up, and his manager doesn't understand that this idiot customer screwed him and it's not his fault, right? And he's got to explain himself. That guy, what's his deal? And then you got Joe, who's inspired. He's driving around thinking that credit card debt paid off, and he's thinking about, this sucks, but this might be hard right now, but this isn't the end of the story. I have a seat at the table. I'm participating in the growth of this thing. And then you have weekly team meetings, and you recap your wins, and you celebrate your wins, right? You got to celebrate. Our busiest season is May and June in Michigan for us. July too, but it crescendos in June. June, yeah, and it comes a little down in July. But I noticed that morale would be just wrecked by the time we get through the summer because you're just destroyed. You work a ton. It's ridiculous. It's hot. You're tired. So one thing I did, and this is just a small thing, is I would schedule a Friday, Saturday full, and we did this in March. So months ahead of time, I'd get my office manager, and we'd schedule 2 full days of fake work for everybody in the whole company. And what would happen is, as we get to that day, everybody's looking at their calendar, their schedule, and they're like, oh my God, they're exhausted. They're working 6-7 days anyway. And they're looking and they're like, oh my God, another weekend. And they know because it's June. But the start time's the same for everybody. The whole company pulls into the shop, right? And I get up on a big chair. I'm like, I have an announcement to make. I've tricked you. There's no work today at all. In fact, there's no work today and there's no work tomorrow, and you get a 3-day weekend. And you get a full day's pay for today and a full day's pay for tomorrow. And I got a brisket on the grill out back and some drinks, and we're going to do some contests and giveaways. You're going to be out of here by noon, and you enjoy some time with your family, right? That's not a big thing to pull off, right? It's not like hard to do that. It's not Mount Everest. Every single person watching this video could do something like that, whether they have one employee or not. When I had one employee, we had our annual Birds Beware Christmas party with my one employee. And I had it every single year I owned the company, right? And when it got bigger and bigger, and we're renting out, hotel rooms for everybody and doing all this stuff, but it started with me and Travis. And I was ridiculous with it. I said, Travis, the winner of this year's Golden Squeegee Award for 20 whatever year it was is you. You're the only guy. But things like that matter, and investing in your team is how you take care of your customers. And taking care of your customers is how you get money to come out of that box you're building.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. And we just had an array of stuff like that. So we can go whatever direction you want. We could talk about, selling your business or why that's important, or we could talk more about culture. I mean, you can kind of lead the way, whatever you think.
That was really good. That's all, and that's just a teaser. Okay, one final thing to cap off. When you are running your window cleaning business, you've got it going. You're growing it. You're working your ass off. You're getting accounts. You've moved from storefronts and strips and plazas to getting into customers' homes and things like that. What about the dry times when there's no work and your belief goes down and you're pulling your hair out and you just cannot land a window cleaning job and it's totally dry, like the dip for the new guys?
Yeah.
How do you keep it together at those times in the middle of those struggles when your hope wanes?
I have a really good answer for that. Dave Ramsey is this guy I listen to. I don't know if you're a fan of him, but he says, he's always shocked every year around Christmas time. All of America is like, oh my God, it's Christmas. I have no money, but I have to buy Christmas presents, right? And they get their credit card out and they run up debt. And it's like they're surprised that Christmas is on December 25th again, right? We know that it's there, but we don't even think about it until we're right at the last minute, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing is true for our business. Like, not all cleaning companies have the same issue as we do in Michigan, but a lot of the northern states, there's ebbs and flows to your season, for sure. That's not like some dark, dire, gloomy thing necessarily. It's just part of the way that it is here. So the way that you build your plan needs to know that that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So
I'd like to say real quick, I've been in landscaping my whole life, seasonal business, and I've been doing window cleaning the past 5 years. Every winter, in an employee mindset, then it was just hell. You know, extreme high, extreme low. Takes till August to pay off the debt I incurred and racked up behind on bills from the winter to pay it off in the summer. Then broke. And then finally it got to a point where I was like, you know what? If I don't work my guts out, say, I call it the 7 days a week when it's grind time, which is June, July, and sock away all that money and pay off everything and make sure I put away a percentage of all the money, and the stakes get higher the farther you go in business, then the whole goal is to balance these out so it's smooth like that instead of this turbulency. And so I like what you said. You get to a point where you integrate and you say, that's just the way it is. This isn't a surprise. It's just the way it is. And when you're new in business, I get a lot of guys emailing me all the time, Facebook messages and YouTube comments, there's no work right now. I'm like, there's no work for anybody. It's dry season. What do you mean? And so it's like this big shock. The smallest thing when you're broke, such as a flat tire or getting a no turn on red ticket or something, is like the end of the world. It's chaos. Yeah. So, and my truck broke down or something, I don't know, like a month ago. We were working, and I just got it towed. I just called, and I was laughing. I was like, oh my God, this is a joke. But there's part of me inside that when I was flat broke with nothing, that was thinking about how I used to go into complete panic attack and visualize my life falling apart. Because I like to dip into the emotional side of it. All of this makes sense, and I like how you are an emotional guy, and you got me totally fired up a few minutes ago. But also, I believe that or one of the main reasons why a worker or a business owner or anything, like things aren't met, deadlines aren't met, is because of the emotional turmoil. The arguments behind closed doors with a wife or a loved one, the people dying, the overdoses, all the real life stuff that gets in the way from growing a business. Like, that's all so real to me. And I think it's all one. It's all happening at once. But it's like taking like the head of a spear. It's cutting through the white noise and creating a sense of certainty, a sense of building structures and boundaries where there was nothing but chaos before. It's like the water flows, but the riverbank holds it. And you have to become that riverbank. You have to become and create the structure that water flows through, despite all odds, because if you don't, you'll just be like in a boat with no oars, you know, at the edge of Niagara Falls. It's just, I relate so much to the struggle.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with struggle, but it's a decision if you want to stay there for the rest of your life or not. And it's a really hard one to get out of. I've been there. I've been in dark places. Absolutely. I have absolute empathy for that. But if you want to build a business, okay, there has to be a different paradigm shift. There has to be a paradigm shift. And here's what it is, okay? You have to think like an executive. Now, let me ask you a question. You know, could you be the executive, whoever's watching this right now, today, as you are right now, of General Electric, right? Obviously not. Like, there's very few people qualified, right? But what's the difference between, you know, and that's an extreme example of an executive and a guy, a worker, right? There's a lot of differences. And sometimes the workers or the small business owners, we don't even recognize the differences. We look at someone achieving some high level of success and just think, bullcrap or lucky or whatever. No. They look at things differently. They plan for things. They're organized. They're an executive. They're a businessman. They're a businesswoman, right? And what you got to do with your business, no matter how small it is.
Keep going, pardon me. I just want to make sure.
Sure. What you have to do you want to keep talking or wait?
Okay, this is good. Sorry about that. Even though I got some pretty nice cameras, sometimes they'll shut up, and I just want to make sure that
It's
we get all
perfectly fine.
Keep going about the executive.
Well, to think like an executive, you have to be like an executive with your tiny business. And it doesn't matter if it's just you. It's okay. Be an executive, not a technician. And if you know that there's seasonality in your business, plan for it. You have to have self-discipline and self-control. You can't grow as a person and still have the behavior of the person at this level. You actually have to change. And there's pain involved, right? If you're addicted to being depressed, if you're addicted to having chaos in your life, right? Because that's your normal, and whenever you start to succeed, you sabotage yourself because really your self-value is low. That sucks. But if you actually want to get out of that, you actually have to modify your behavior for real. And no one's going to save your day. You got to do it. And what happens is you start to grow, you plan. It doesn't have to be emotional. The universe isn't mad at you because it's January and there's no work. But you know what? You just make business decisions ahead of time. You can't control everything. You didn't know you're going to get a flat tire, but you play the averages and you build your plan based on the normal of what you do know. And then you iterate, optimize, and adjust when things do happen. But it shouldn't be a surprise to you that there's ebbs and flows to a season.
This guy's got me fired up. You're communicating the truth.
It's the truth. And it might mean that you need to change your sphere of friends. It might mean that you need to get away from...
That's the biggest thing right there. Getting negative people or negative friends out of your life.
Yeah.
Like it's like pulling off a bandage or...
It goes back to decision. Doesn't mean it's not painful, but it's still 100% absolutely in your own ability to control. And it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt people and that you're scared and you have uncertainty. Of course you do. But you need to use logic, and you need to look at what successful people have done and believe a little bit. It's okay to have a little bit of belief. Like, you know what, man, I can do it. I think maybe I can't. I'm not all the way, but I think I can do it. I think I am. My drinking buddies are bringing me down. Why you started a business, man? You're just going to fail. What, you really think you're going to be an executive of a company that changes other people's lives, produces jobs, produces big revenues, is profitable, and you can sell someday and move to... You really think that's going to happen when you spend the weekends with those people? You can't. Doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a decision. What do you want more? Do you want to build the machine? Do you want to have the lifestyle you want? Or do you want to drink some beers with the guys who think the world's against them and the universe has conspired to keep them down? Because I can guarantee you it has not conspired to keep them down. They just think it's true. And for them, it is.
That's amazing.
It is. It is.
Dude, I had a couple buddies call me last night. I was friends with them years ago. And even though I never got into drinking, they were drunk. And they called me at midnight. And I was working. Shame on me for working at midnight. And they're like, man, you got to hang out, man. You got to come out sometime. And I was like, hey, man, I love you guys. But, I chat with them for a few minutes, caught up with them. And I'm like, I got to go. And then they called again. And I just, got rid of the call because... And I'm not. And part of me, the ego side of me, was like, in 5 years, I'm going to be here, and you're going to still be drinking. And
it's not an ego side of you. It's what do you want, right? The very first thing in my boot camp, okay, the very first video,
which we're going to get into that too.
But the very first thing, this has to start here, is what is your why? What are we trying to do here? Why did you start the thing that you're doing? Mm-hmm. Or why are you about to start the thing you're about to start? If you don't clearly define that, you're going to have problems, right? In church today, the pastor was talking about building a foundation, how he loves construction sites. And, his favorite part of the process is when they dig the hole, right? They got this big, messy, muddy hole. And the beginning's always messy when you build something. There's so much uncertainty. You can't see it. You have the vision, the blueprint, but it doesn't exist, right? But when you lay that foundation, that is the number one most critical part of the entire process. Because if you're off a little, right, and your foundation for your business is your why, what are we trying to do specifically? Not, I want to be rich. That's not a why, okay? That's just nothing. That's useless. No, I want to have $100,000 a year in personal income and work 30 hours a week max. That's what I want. And I want to do it because a dream without a goal without a date is just a dream, okay? Mm-hmm. I want to do it by this time. Boom, now we got a why. Now we can dig a hole, right? And every decision you make in your personal life, in the way that you hire people, in the systems, the way that you sell your stuff, the way you price your stuff, the way every single little tiny, minute, everything has to be lined up against that. And it has to match, right? Does this get me closer to that why or farther away, right? Once that foundation is there, once you have your why and you're hungry and you get it, then you can start to build the house, But cutting off a friendship like that is one of those decisions that what you would have to make if it didn't match up with your why, right? So if your goal is this and you don't even know one person that does this right now, it's probably, it might be hard, but it's probably a good idea to pivot into a different type of friend group, right? Doesn't mean you're mean. It means you're serving your family and your goal. Let me tell you an interesting statistic. 10 out of 10 people die. It's pretty shocking, I know. It's not shocking at all, but we're not here forever, and so many people lay on their deathbed with regrets. I don't want to be one of those people. I am terrified. There's a quote, a wise man thinks of death often. It doesn't mean because you're morbid. It means because we have a window. We woke up today. We have a little bit of time to do something. What are we doing? What do we want to do? Yeah. What are you out there doing? And create yourself a why, build a foundation, reverse engineer a plan that can get you there, align yourself with like-minded people, work the plan. You're going to fail, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get mad, you're going to think the universe is against you, but your friend group is going to remind you that that's not the case and encourage you to keep going, and then you're going to look back and go, holy crap, we just did $10,000 today.
$10,000 today.
Yeah, and that can happen. When I started cleaning windows, I was thinking, I didn't even know what the upside was. I had no idea. But really, the upside is as far as you can imagine. I have friends now that have $5 million window cleaning companies. I have a guy that on my podcast next week has a $14 million carpet cleaning company. They're not any different than any of us, okay? Their why is a little bigger, and they understand how to architecture out a plan that will get them there, and they're executing on the plan. And trust me, they're not spending Friday night drinking with guys who make $22,000 a year and complain about their life.
It's true. All right. Tell the guys where they can learn more about you, see your stuff, see more of your videos or trainings. And
yeah, one of the easiest ways to connect with me is to listen to my podcast. And I interview awesome people about this type of stuff. And it's called quicktalkpodcast.com. And you can just go there. You can also just search for it on iTunes or Stitcher, and it's there. If you're, needing more help with kind of putting some of this stuff in place, if your business is ready for that, there is a boot camp. It has limited spots. It's not always open because I work with small groups of people at a time, but that's located at automategrowsell.com. And that's my current business. I'm back at the beginning, laying my foundation with my new why for my new company, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to put my team in place, and I got my product, and I got my customers, and I'm creating my company culture, my customer life cycle right now all over again for this business, just like I did with Birds Beware. And it's an amazing process, but this time I have an unfair advantage because I've went through all that pain. I can extract all that I've learned and apply it a lot faster.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
So it's Birds Beware Window Cleaning was the company that you.
That's the company I founded, sold it to a company from California, and I'm out of that now.
So now, if you want to find them, it's automategrowsell.com, and then it's Quick Talk Podcast. So there you have it. So like I said, all this lighting is set up. I just interviewed him for my course coming out called the Window Cleaning Blueprint: How to Start a Window Cleaning Business Right Now with No Startup Money. What we talked about of the struggles and tribulations a small business owner goes through and the hells of trying to get a business off the ground, it's just can be so discouraging at times. And he talked about, well, it's a secret, I can't tell you, right? So, all right, so automategrowsell.com and the Quick Talk Podcast if you want to learn more about him. All right, later. Bye.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.